When I was scouting for the Florida Marlins, one spring training, I was down there and had an exhibition game going on. And pitchers, they'd come throw 2 innings, 3 innings, whatever, motion. And I saw this left-hander out on the mound, and I said, gosh, I know that guy. And I went over to one of the coaches, and I said, where's his name? And he told me, Chad Beagle. I said, oh, he's right up there from Roanoke. Our next inductee, which you can read about, I ran into him several times a few years ago. He really made a mark on Longwood College. He coached over at Stanton River. I went over there to see a picture that he had. And he went on to Longwood College. And he really put them on the map. He's had some outstanding players there, and he did a lot of work there. I remember them talking about how much work he did there on the field. So, Buddy Bolden has paid his dues in every avenue of the game. So it's a pleasure for us to induct him into the Hall of Fame. Buddy?
Hall of Fame board, fellow inductees, former inductees, family, friends, and most especially my beautiful and most supportive wife, Andrea. I'm happy to stand here at this podium tonight, and receive this esteemed award. I served in Vietnam in 1969 and 1970, and I didn't get a letter from every day. Sometimes 2 weeks would go before we would be able to get any kind of mail, because I was in the field. But every single one of those letters was dated that I received from my wife. And believe this or not, I was in Vietnam for 364 days. I cheated on 1 day. And she sent a letter to me every single day. She was working full-time at the telephone office in Johnson City, Tennessee at the time. And she worked until late at night. She would come home by herself. Her granny lived across the road, but she was by herself, and she would write me a letter every single day. So what she's done for me is greater than I can speak of. I also want to thank my players, my former players. I have one of my high school players here who played for me at Stanton River, Tim Anderson. And I have some other ones, David Mitchell and Donnie Mowbray and Bruce Morgan, Robbie Newman, and maybe a couple others back I don't see them. And my high school coach, Jerry Eckert, who was a mentor for me at Stanton River when I was a young player. My best friend, James Biddy Huff, also, that I learned to play ball with, and I'll tell you about that in a second. my friend Biddy gave me a dog about 4 years ago, and it's an American foxhound. And Biddy gave me the dog, an awesome dog, and so I was going to make sure he had food to eat while Andrea and I are here. And so I left my glasses on a little barrel that I keep the dog food in. And so I don't have my glasses, but I did discover something by not having my glasses. I finally understand the proper qualifications for being an umpire. I'm happy to be home tonight. The Roanoke Valley is my home. I grew up on the Hardy Road. I'm a country boy. And I come from an area of the Hardy Road where we didn't have any ballparks per se. We literally played field baseball, and I was never worth a nickel as an infielder because when a cow steps on the ground, it makes a indentation on the ground. And there are other indentations too that cows leave. But Biddy and I learned to play baseball like that, and so we stressed hitting more than we did anything else. And so I took that with me all the way through high school coaching and college coaching, and it served me well. But Biddy and I would throw in the snow, in the rain, it didn't matter. We had sticks and we would hit gravels down over the railroad tracks until it got too dark to see. And we loved the game. Back in the country down there, there were a few people who had stills. Leon Bush might be here tonight, as a matter of fact. But I don't think Petey Clark is. He's probably on the job. But there was rumor that there was stills down there where we grew up. Now, I don't know that that's the case. Sheriffs came down there many times, but never seemed to find much. But I can see why they came down the road, because we only had 6 cows on the road and 20 cornfields. And but between Gary Gilmore from Franklin County and myself from Bedford County, there's a little river that runs between us. And between his relates and mine, I would say that they're more whiskey experts than Jack Daniels has. But I grew up in the valley here, and I had the great opportunity to play in the Roanoke Valley League, the old Clyde Cock League. It was better than American Legion baseball. You had to try out for the team, and it embarrassed a whole lot of people getting cut. So I didn't want to be embarrassed. So I fought hard not to get embarrassed, and so I was fortunate enough to play in this awesome league up here at Wasena Park, at Old Veterans Field, at Mar Field, even down toward Vinton a little bit once in a while. And the baseball then was powerful in the Roanoke Valley, probably better than it is today, because number one, we used wood. We didn't have metal bats, and you had to really learn how to leverage a baseball bat if you wanted to make it. And so we got pretty good at finding the sweet spot of a bat on a ball. But it was a great experience playing in the Roanoke Valley. After World War II, baseball was about the only thing we had in the Roanoke Valley. And down at the old Mar Field, the old Roanoke Red Sox down there played, and with the Marine Corps barracks down there in left field on behind the wall, and then the river running down toward Victor Stadium out in right field. It was a grand place to play summer ball, and I was grateful for that opportunity, and it carried me forward. And I didn't realize until tonight that Larry Wood is here. Larry, just someone said nice things about Larry, but he and I were college teammates at Carson Newman College about 45 or 6 or 7, I don't know how many years ago, I can't count it far. But I was really happy to reacquaint myself with Larry. I had no idea he was here tonight, so he's a fine person then, and I'm certain he's a fine person now, and I can see why he's been so successful as a coach. But the Valley Boys, when I took the job at Longwood, I took Valley Boys with me. I could have gone to Richmond. I didn't. I did have Bruce Morgan, who was playing at Fork Union for the great Jackie Jensen, who was actually the Rookie of the Year in 1958 for the Boston Red Sox. And Bruce had played for him at Fork Union. And I brought Bruce and a couple other kids from extraneous places, but principally I went over to Veterans Field and grabbed up David Mitchell, Donnie Mowbray, Denny Ulrey, Jimmy Love, Butch Crotty, Billy Wells, Larry Cromer. I grabbed those kids as fast as I get my hands around them. And like Gilly said earlier, these boys had already been overlooked. I didn't get them until late May, June, and July, and they were overlooked. But David Mitchell wasn't much of a pitcher for me. He only won 30 ball games. He only took us to the College World Series in Division II in 1982. And some other kids were overlooked. So the Valley boys built Longwood baseball. I'm grateful for that. My family thanks you. My friends and players, I hope, thank you. My gorgeous wife thanks you. And I thank you.
Last inductee is a native of Western Pennsylvania and was a three-sport athlete at Athens High School. He's a graduate of Allegheny College, where he was the opening day starter for 4 years. As a senior, he led the program to a school record